Mr. Mungal. He's one of the best.
Nothing else mattered after I started playing sitar, you know. I will practice for 9 to 10 hours a day. I wouldn't sleep, I wouldn't want to eat.
I always remember the first I heard his instrument and then see who it was. Mungal Patasar, the legend.
You have enough there for about 10 documentary, boy.
And with those unmistakable 6 notes, we know exactly who we're talking about. I would hum it, but that would be too much. Iconography, the Mungal Patasar story, premieres on March 27th at Queen's Hall. And this morning, the lady and gentleman behind the lens, if you will, are joining us on the Now Morning Show. So let me say welcome and good morning to Teneka Mohammed, the director and producer, along with Mikhail Gibbins, also the director, but cinematographer as well. Lady and gentlemen, good morning and welcome.
Morning, Anchor.
An absolute joy to have you guys here, because if it's one thing we always talk about is giving people their flowers while they're around. And here we have you guys taking up the mantle and continuing, since this is not the first of its kind, to honor our icons. So job well done, if I may say so myself, just by shining that light on them.
Thank you very much.
I will ask though, who decided to choose the icons themselves? Because that is quite the feat.
I think it's always a discussion between all of us. There's so much music and there's so much history and there's so much culture in Trinidad and Tobago. It's a very difficult decision to make. And as you know, like time is a big decider in all of these things. The first artist that we wanted to cover was actually Clive Zander, and we ended up discussing these things with him just before he passed. So it's something that we kind of have to make decisions about, both based on time and also based on, like, you know, what is the next most interesting thing? You know, we kind of choose to highlight icons who existed in a time before there was widespread access to video archiving and that sort of thing. So for us, it's really important to hit sectors of Trinidad and Tobago that we feel like are maybe not as represented in the space, or maybe not as covered in the space. And we are lucky enough that some are, but hopefully we get everybody else.
Good luck. Now, I know that as much as we have the two of you on set, there are other parts to this gear, if you will. And so I noticed that we have the name Avia Scantlebury, is it? Also mentioned, because in terms of being a co-founder of this series, this would be another person who helps to decide who we're going to focus on next, right? Now, in your capacity as a producer and director, though, Teneka, you're a lot more behind the scenes than most might be in terms of production, but then directing, that definitely is through your eyes.
Yeah.
Tell me what you hoped to capture with this particular part of the series.
Well, we both directed it, and this would have been my first time directing, because I like to stay behind the scenes, as you said, and produce. That's where I am. That's where I work best.
Okay.
So directing this was really interesting, and I think, as we would like to have with all the icons, we like to tell their story through themselves. Like, they are the ones retelling their own, like, journey, and I don't think we wanted anybody else to see it but them. And it was really nice sitting down and talking to him, and he's literally full of so many stories. It's really hard to compact it into 45 minutes.
I mean, you had enough time for 10 documentary according to him, right?
As he said. So, yeah, it was really nice. Yeah.
Now, I particularly like the fact, and I am showing my bias, it's Women's History Month, that a woman is at the helm in many ways. So congratulations in that regard. But in terms of the premiere then, tell me a little bit as to what we can expect there, Mikhail. Is there going to be a grand red carpet event? What do we look forward to at Queen's Hall on 27th?
Well, thankfully, we haven't gotten the carpet just yet. But we have a lot of stars who are going to be there. Obviously, Mungal is a very well-liked person. But at the same time, I think it's important that we see these people in the limelight. They're kind of so used to navigating that space. Thankfully, we got a lot of support this time. So we have NLCB, NGC, Lion Brand, National Flour Mill. If you're coming to the event and you maybe don't have transportation, TTRS is also sponsoring us. You can use code Mungal20 to get to Queen's Hall on Friday. Dilma will also be there, serving special iced teas and that sort of thing. And then we're going to sit down and we're going to watch a really nice movie, we hope.
Now, one of the things you were talking about during the break was the fact that, yes, this is the second of the series, because the first would have, as you mentioned, the original first didn't work out as it planned to, but it went into being Dr. Roy Cape being the first version. But these things are not necessarily as accessible as we, the public, might like. Tell me about the process of making sure that beyond screening, persons have the opportunity to see these stories. Mikhail, you want to give any insight in that regard?
Sure. I think one of the most difficult things to do is monetize and distribute in the film space. Is obviously a very complicated thing. But we are trying to make the film as accessible as we can for as many people as possible. Obviously, the stories of these legends kind of filter into our own like creative fledglings here, where like everybody who in the creative industry grew up, somebody telling them it's not possible and that kind of thing. So hearing it directly from somebody who made it possible is a special thing. So students have the tickets for the show are $200. Students get it $150. And then we are going to have as many screenings as we possibly can throughout the country to make sure that as many people see it as possible, because we think it's really important for people to hear.
I agree. Would you add to that in any way, Teneka? I think particularly because somebody who's behind the scenes, why do you think it's important for people to see these stories?
I think that's a good question. I think it's automatically supposed to be important. Somebody who's spent their entire life crafting something so unique and like representing Trinidad and Tobago, and you know, I think we shouldn't wait until they pass. I feel like we should celebrate them now.
Absolutely.
And recognize their contributions to Trinidad and Tobago.
And as we're speaking about celebrating them now, you guys also had a hand, Pomegranate, that is, in the Lightbox series, which particularly during the pandemic was something that was loved. I wonder, is that going to come back in any way, shape or form now that we're outside again? But we still have, Mikhail is like, yeah, Gil, all right, cool.
We've been, you know, in discussions about that for a long time now. We've wanted to do it. It's a pretty difficult show to execute, but we're back on it. So just look out.
Fingers crossed, Anchor will be in the next episode doing absolutely nothing. But you guys can head over to Queen's Hall on the 27th. The premiere of Inconography.
22nd.
Oh, rather 22nd. Sorry.
22nd.
This Friday.
I'm pushing it back.
This
It's
Friday.
It's this Friday.
So I need to get an address. Anyway, Iconography Mungal Patasar is premiering the 22nd at Queen's Hall, and it's all because Pomegranate Studios continues to shine a light on our icons. So we say thank you very much to you both. We look forward to Lightbox coming back too, and hopefully we'll have you back on set to talk about the next part of the series as it continues.
Yeah.
Thank you again for joining us. And guys, you can tune in then, but for now, stick around. The Now Morning Show has even more action you don't want to miss.